Well, welcome back to the channel. Tonight I'm looking at two of my favorite games, GURPS and Beckme D&D. Just comparing what it looks like to play as a dwarf with a honkin' big hammer, just a two-handed warhammer kind of setup, and how it feels to fight a goblin one-on-one in these two systems. So here we've got them laid out. We've got my GURPS side and my D&D side. We'll separate these two here and here. And at the top we have the goblins. At the bottom we have the dwarves. So in GURPS we start with speed for initiative. The goblin has the higher speed on the dwarf. The dwarf's a little heavy laden with all his his two-handed war maul and his heavy armor. The goblin, in contrast, has a DR of 2 because he's wearing leather and has a short sword and a small shield. He goes first. There's no rolling in GURPS. D&D, in the old school, we roll a d6 actually. 6 for the goblin and 6, tie. They can go at the same time. Yeah, in modern stuff, obviously, D&D, roll your d20. So in this case, these guys are going to go first. So they're going at the same time. So they kind of charge up at each other and attack at the same time. So Goblin attacks, okay, Thaco. They both have a Thaco of 19. This is old school Thaco. So the Goblin, to hit a Dwarf, needs to hit a 15. 19 minus 4, 15. He rolls a 7 and misses. The dwarf swings back, clubs the goblin with a 17. All he needed to do was hit a 14. He smacks him. He's got max hit points, 7 hit points, and the dwarf gave him max hit points too at 8. Here comes some damage. There's 7 hit points. Wow, okay. 6 seconds go by, and the dwarf got lucky hit in and kills the goblin. Over here on the GURP side, the goblin runs in, and he rushes in and gets a moving attack shot in with his short sword on the dwarf. Because he's running and attacking, that gives him a minus 4. So his short sword skill at 12 comes down to 8, and he misses. He runs in and clatters his sword weakly off the side of the dwarf. The dwarf standing there stalwartly brings down the maul. Two-handed maul. He has a skill of 11 and easily connects with that shot. The goblin has a shield and a dodge of 10. He will attempt to shield block, and we should write his shield skill in at 12 as well. That would give him a block. We forgot to stat that out. Block of 10 as well. Yeah, 10. Block of 10. So he's got to roll a 10 or less. Oh my goodness, he critically fails. The goblin takes a hearty swing of damage from that two-handed war maul. I think the thing weighs like 20 pounds. It's 2d6 plus 5 damage, so that's going to be 12 damage to the poor goblin. He's only got 10 hit points. 2 come off. He's dead. He's obliterated. He is dropped. He's dropped to 0 exactly, and he starts to make death saves. We won't bother there either, since we didn't hear as well. So that took 1 second. That took 6 seconds. This assumes some back and forth and some posturing. This GURPS plays out high granularity. You get to choose every movement. Let's reset this up since that went so quickly. I love it. Let's make the GURPS setup go 6 seconds. Let's make it more realistic in quotes, to a 6-second round in D&D. These guys would probably more slowly engage, and they would evaluate. They would spend a turn, maybe sidestepping each other. A second spent, okay? They're looking at each other, kind of like fencers would in the Olympics. They're kind of looking for an opening. They're on their guard. Nobody sees an opening. Nobody wants to make that initial lunge. In GURPS, you use an evaluate maneuver. And it's just like aiming a missile weapon. For every second you spend evaluating, you get a +1 to attack, to a maximum of +3. We'll say the goblin has the first strike. They've both spent 1 turn evaluating. The goblin takes a strike with a +1. He's going to maybe go for the arm. He's going to go for the arm. He's got a +1. The arm is a -2 to hit, so he's got to hit it 11. Okay, he swings, and that's a good hit. Dwarf tries to dodge and fails miserably with a critical failure on the dodge. He gets slashed in the arm by the goblin for 1d6 damage. 1. The dwarf is wearing mail sleeves and leggings. He can take 4 slashing damage. He feels nothing. Well, he feels the contact, but it doesn't do any damage to him. The dwarf counterstrikes with his maul, brings it down. He's got a +1 to hit, so he needs to hit a 12, but he rolls a 13 and misses. At that point, he will step back because he has to take a second to cock back to bring that heavy war maul under control. It's so big and so heavy. He spends a second having to ready it. Next turn, goblin goes first. He's always got the faster speed. He can step up and strike. He's not sure what to do. He probably wants to get in close before this guy gets back and get a shot in before he gets his mace ready, that giant maul. So he will step and strike. No longer has a +1. He just rolls straight, and that's a hit. The dwarf is forced to dodge because he doesn't want to parry. Well, he can't. He hasn't readied his weapon yet. Oh yeah, he did ready it last turn. And he does manage to dodge. He needed an 8. That's an 8 right on. He dodges. At this point, the dwarf, at this point, let's change it up. It's been 2 seconds. Maybe the dwarf will step back again and evaluate again. He's going to take another +1. He'll forfeit the turn. The goblin will get in there. Maybe the goblin... Okay, so this is turn 3. The goblin knows that mace is ready to come down. Maybe the goblin takes a second and just sidesteps and evaluates as well. So now we've both got a +1. We're at 4 seconds in. This is more kind of realistic simulation of what's going on in D&D. 6 seconds. It's all boiled down to 1 die roll, but the action... This is what the action would look like. At this point, it is the dwarf's turn. Second 5, I believe it is. He will step up and all-out attack. He forfeits his defense. He knows that he's been evaluating, so he's got a +1 to hit. That gives him a 12 maul. He is going to go... He knows he's going to hit hard. He just has to make sure he hits. So he's going to go determined attack. All-out attack. Forfeits his defense, gives him a +4 to hit. So he now has a 16 skill to hit. With a 16, should he make a called shot? I don't think he even needs to worry about it. Yeah, he's going to make a called shot to the head, just for demonstration purposes. That's a -5, so he's back down to 11. He needs to hit. He needs an 11 to hit in the head with that maul. Oh, and he rolls a 12, just barely. Whiff. Huge arcing swing just over the head of the goblin. That was certain death if that had have connected. Next turn, 6 seconds in. Goblin quickly stabs. Maybe he goes for the vitals. No, it doesn't matter. He's got his breastplate on. He'll go for the arm again. With that shot, he will do it. The dwarf cannot dodge. He gave up his defense to go all-out shot. And there's 5 damage. Now, the dwarf has finally taken some damage. He's down to 14 hit points. However, the fighter has high pain threshold. He feels no shock. He feels no pain from that. Not enough to hamper him. He spends his turn on second 7th round. Spends his turn readying his maul he will stay there and wait for the oncoming attack from the goblin. Goblin will lunge in again, going for the arm, because that is the weakest spot on him. Not very weak, but that is a 10. That will not hit. Oh, that'll hit the arm. Yep. He can dodge this time. He will attempt to dodge. He fails. He takes another slash to the arm for 1 damage. That's not getting through the scale. Actually, at this point, it would have been a good time for the dwarf to retreating dodge. Let's run through that again. He retreats, dodge, gets a +2 to his dodge, puts it up to 10, and he still fails. And played out damage, okay? He ends the turn stepping back. His turn now. He's got the mace ready. He's going to do it again. This time he's just going in. All-out attack. Determined. +4 to hit. He's got a 15 now. He did not evaluate. He couldn't this time. 15 to hit. He's just going for the torso. He just got to land this. The goblin is size modifier. I did not write that down. SM, size modifier, -1, because he's short. The dwarf is technically just barely in the medium size, the human size, 4.5 feet tall. So he does have a -1 to hit. So, 15 down to 14. We need a 14 to connect. Yeah, that'll do it. He connects. The goblin tries to block that and rolls an 11 and fails by 1. Look at that. And once again, here comes the pain. That's 8 + 5, 13 damage. DR takes 2 of it away. That's 11 damage. He's got 10 hit points. 1 shot kill once again. And that was 7 seconds, 7 or 8 seconds. That's what's actually going on in our imagination when we play D&D. Sometimes you just want to, keep things moving, boil things down to one attack and damage roll. I can see the fun in that. Sometimes we play some good old D&D hex crawls, and especially when we're playing a troop, we're playing 4 characters each or something like that. That's a lot of fun. But in general, I do not want to select my game based on which is the fastest combat and the easiest combat. I love the detail here, the tactical decisions that matter, and I don't care if my combat is going second by second. This is a lot of fun to me. D&D, of course, has its place, as everyone knows. Everybody has lots of good time, lots of fun with that. If you've never tried GURPS, I encourage you to give that a try. Look how much fun that was. Backing up and dodging and swinging and blocking and clubbing goblins. Everybody should get out and club a goblin in GURPS once in a while. Roll on.